Whoever sees this and subscribes right now, get a free money game. Hey, it makes sense. What's going on, YouTube? It's Knox, and we are back with the reaction series. So today, man, it is time. It is the culmination of days. It feels like Christmas and Easter just came together and had a baby. Yes, I'm well aware. Ren has dropped Money Game 3. As a lot of you know, I was lucky enough to be there for the rehearsal for a part of the shoot. I have not seen it all the way through, so I'm excited to walk through this one with you guys, give you some exclusives, some very special insights into this one. Since I was on set, I got to ask a lot of questions. Yes, I was a very curious mind, so I think you guys are going to enjoy this breakdown right here, right now. It's Ren and Money Game 3. But before getting further, listen, I have two huge announcements, guys. This Saturday, I will be live streaming with Ren himself. We'll be celebrating his Sick Boy album release, so if you guys want to join me for that, it should start around 2:15 Eastern Standard Time, live stream on the channel. Also, tomorrow, I'm dropping an exclusive interview with Sam himself. We'll be walking through Money Game, and he'll be giving his insights. I can't wait to share that with you guys, so stay tuned. We got a huge Ren weekend on this channel. But anyways, know what we're here for. Ren, step back up to the plate. Let's see what you got. One. Feels kind of like Phantom of the Opera. Wow. Look at that lighting. What a beautiful shot right there. And Ren and Sam are the maestros of just creating this intrigue with their opening shots, whether it's the original Money Game, when you start with that close-up of the rope being dragged along the floor, and then you slowly kind of breadcrumb it in to reveal what's going on. Yet again, we start with the fingers on the piano, with the hand model that is Ren. I mean, Greek god of fingers just playing the piano for us as we scroll back and then gradually start to reveal our setting for Money Game 3. A little bit of vertigo. Look at that shot right there. I love the reflection playing off of the piano itself. That's so dope. My boy Sam's in the titles. Wow. So that sense of vertigo right there, and I'm going to post hopefully a video or a picture right now, editing me, get your shit together. But basically, there is this just hammer of Thor rig for cinematographers, right? And Bo's behind the camera wielding this weapon, but on it are motorized mechanisms that can spin it 360, and that can be controlled remotely. So you got Josh remotely who just, pushes a button and gets it to spin, but it's all about timing it up. So right here, you've got this rig and then it just spinning against the wall to create this sense of vertigo before all of a sudden a new player now enters the Money Game. I love how you can just hear the folio of everything, the footsteps, Ren's breaths. Just creates this anxiety and tension. Even that little shot right there, just to make sure that as he takes a bag off of his head, it just falls right in front of the camera, syncing that up perfectly. One thing I was super impressed with watching the rehearsal is every single movement is thought through. Where the camera is going to be, how the lighting is going to be set up. I mean, they have lights all on this rig. And some lights they turn off for certain moments, other lights they turn on to light it as they go. Everything has to be so synced up, but Ren never wastes a movement on camera. Everything's so methodical and thought through. And I just love the pacing of this because we're a minute 30 in and there's been no performance. in terms of singing or rapping or anything. It's just storytelling visually and soaking it in and listening to the piano and just building the sense of intrigue with the callback to the money game mask over the head, the bags over their head as Ren reveals himself to the audience. That's another dope shot, just seeing Charlie, the piano player, in the reflection. And I've kind of speculated on this because Charlie obviously has the money game bag over his head. Ren had it before. And to me, as players get revealed, they are a part of the money game. That's why they have the bag over their head. And I think the importance of that is not showing individual expressions and emotions, because as Ren's story tells throughout the money game series, I think there's that element of us being able to insert ourselves into the game, as players in the game. And Ren reveals himself because he's breaking the fourth wall. He's the one telling this story, giving this moral tale for us all to digest and to take on board. So that's why he removes it off of his head and reveals himself, because he's now inserted himself into our world, while these other individuals are still a part of the money game. They're still a part of the very system that's being played on them. Smooth. And that is a custom suit right there. I remember when that motherfucker just walked in like Adonis, just rolling through Hitman style and started just rapping and walking around getting ready for this.
Let me tell you a story about a boy named Jimmy. 1 year old and his first words were mine, gimme. 2 years old he was walking, 3 years old walking quickly. 4 years old he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years.
Keep in mind those lines. Mine, gimme. Walking quickly, pavements of his city. Like leaving a breadcrumb trail, this will come around full circle towards the very end of this. So it's really dope to just, knowing what I know now, to see this kind of set up and how this is going to be led into, and just really mastering your craft of storytelling writing, right? And keeping this sort of synergy throughout. We'll get back to it.
Quickly, 4 years old, he was running round the pavements of his city. 5 years old, and his daddy told him, listen here, son, you gotta learn to be a man. A man, he works for what he wants. 6 years old and he's reading, writing, top of the bunch. And when he's 7, his progression made him student number 1. 8 years old and he's praised for unusual grades. 9, his parents paid for private school to nurture the flame. 10, 11, 12, 13, he ascends and ascends. His daddy tells him, son, money is the means to all ends. 14, solving complex mathematical equations. At 15, IQ 150, still elevating.
I love how that piano just naturally picks up there, and Ren kind of switches gears on his flows. But what's really dope about the rhyme writing of this is he's taking us through year by year, and he's tying in those years within the rhyme scheme while storytelling about the growth of Jimmy. But again, he's leaving just these little breadcrumbs for us, right? With the dad and the influence that the dad has on Jimmy, pushing him. And we're basically creating this character with major daddy issues, but also a character who's being pushed towards the money. Why? Because money is the means to an end. Well, that's a dangerous thought process and a dangerous philosophy to take on board. And look at this little
equations at 15.
Money game figurine right there. That is dope, man. I want that.
IQ 150, still elevating.
15, IQ 150. Nice little play on 1-5 right there.
Equations at 15, IQ 150, still elevating. 16, he develops complex software code that detects weaknesses in cybersecurity protocols. 17, and he sells his vision, keeping the share. Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18.
Not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. He's doing a really good job of making sure that he hits some of his accentuated syllables on those piano keystrokes. So he's got a really just dope flow, just kind of meshing and molding with the piano as it's progressing right now.
Yeah, not yet an adult, but he's practically a millionaire. 18 and his daddy tells him, now you're a man. This world don't give a damn about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22,
I love that little moment when everything pauses, and again, you just talk about the movement of the camera, the feel of everything. It just stops for a second, and you just come right in. And Ren changes his tonation in his voice. It gets a little aggressive. It gets darker. I mean, look at that facial expression and the way that his face is lit. Heavy shadows cast upon him right now.
I'm about you, so take all that you can. 19, he turns a profit, stocks and shares, invest in product. 20, double down deposits. 21, his income rockets. 22, he learns that truth is just an obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23,
the truth is just an obstacle to wealth. Remember what his father was teaching him? Money is the means to an end. Whatever you want to achieve, use that money to help get you there. And it doesn't matter how you get that money. You can lie, you can manipulate it, you can transform the data and bend it to your will. You see how a character is being nurtured. And it started when he was a kid. And he teased us with those lines. His first words, think about his first words, not like dada or something like that. His first words are mine, give me. And that's kind of applied to his life so far as he starts to grow and his dad starts to push him further into this money game.
To wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 20.
Now I wonder if Wolf has the behind the scenes, but when we did the rehearsal, that was me right there. Obviously, my boobs look better, of course, but you know, they decided I was a little bit too voluptuous for the part, and I was kind of stealing the show, you know, with the way I was holding the tray. Like, nobody held it as well as I did, so they had to replace me in the end, but shit happens.
Obstacle to wealth. If you manipulate the data, then the lie will sell itself. 23, a life of luxury, crystal and cocaine.
23, a life of luxury. Like, he's almost performing that, and you can hear the smile and the haughtiness in his voice. What I love about how many times he changes sort of his intonation with the deliveries, that there's just so much personality into this, right? He's just, because of just the characterization of everything, when he rises, when he falls, when he gets angry, when he gets dark, when he gets proud, you hear it all. So you're walking through this range of emotions with him that he's giving you solely via his style of delivery, but also his mannerisms, the way that he's acting, the way that he's carrying himself. Matches it so well too. 24, he makes the Forbes list. They're applauding his. So he's even got his hand behind his back like this, his posture straight, right? He's a very formal gentleman right now on the Forbes list.
25, and his daddy tells him, listen here, son, while you're sitting in that palace, that don't mean that you won. 26, a business shift. He switches business to arms. He's 27, dealing nuclear.
Again, just the timing of everything to make sure that we're in sync, that the camera gets in front, we get the hands out in front, Ren's got to go underneath, all through the fluidity of the one-take movement and motion.
26, a business shift. He switches business to arms.
Business to arms. Notice how arms come into it. So you're playing off of dealing arms, aka weapons. So he's got to start making more money because dad keeps pushing him. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. You have to keep going further and further, but also playing off of literally handshake deals happening.
He's 27, dealing nuclear and shells in Iran. 28, inside the Senate, money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30, his daddy.
And again, you talk about attention to detail, right? Something so simple as I remember when Ren is just like talking to himself, walking through this part. And then he calls over to me because it's obviously a presidential reference. And he's like, you know, what looks best for this? And I went with the hand on the chest. So that's why he kind of does it, you know, because we put the hand on the chest to say the Pledge of Allegiance, a little bit of an American shout out and reference right there.
He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite.
Now he's worked his way, into political power. So his money has gotten him so far, and now he's finding sort of a new drug and a new layer to dive into. That of power, right? Wealth can create more power and create further opportunities for you. And one thing I do have to shout out for all my fellow history buffs out there and government aficionados. Yes, I'm well aware that when you want to run for Senate, you have to be 30. Jimmy is only 28. So factually a little bit incorrect, but you know what? It's okay because he's bought his way into it. We're leaning into the character. Let's give it to Ren.
Money bought him a seat. He's 29, a role of counsel in the president's suite. Now he's 30. His daddy says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place.
But see, that's a clever line. And that could go, we're going to give it back to Ren. We're giving it back to Ren, right? 30, because then he can run, so losing the race. So it could be a presidential race versus losing the race of life, the race to get ahead. Some clever wordplay and schemes thrown into this.
He says you're losing the race. You're just a servant to the king, not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval.
Really cool camera work right there. It was like 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's approval. Notice right there, he's kind of like conducting his own flow, and the camera is going contrary to him, back and forth as well.
Not even in second place. 31, a big maneuver for his daddy's
Very
approval. Moving imports over borders from the exports out of Cuba. 32, moving grams, growing kilos to tons. He's 33, filling warehouses with powder and guns. 34, turf war with nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket.
We got to bring it back. I got to give a shout out real quick. So you see the dude right here cutting the cocaine as he's representing this new Jimmy entering the cartel world. This is actually the owner of where this was filmed. This is the one who runs the secret garden party. Shout out to him, man. Dope cameo, and I got to drink some good whiskey with this man.
Guns, 34, turf war.
And that again, remember how I talked about the motors on the camera that can spin? I just love the timing and syncing of this. Ren spins the globe, and then we spin 360 around it.
With nobody to stop it. Blind eye from the po-po inside of his pocket.
I love how the globe's still spinning right there. As all the music kicks out, you still hear the globe, and then you hear the phone. And where did that end? Ah, right? He's moving imports and exports out of Cuba. I mean, that's not planned, but landing on Cuba, hello. 500 for Jeopardy today.
35. He gets a call. I'm sorry, son, but it's your father. Had a heart attack. I'm sorry, he's gone. 30.
No. Hear how much bassier and darker that piano gets? And for me, that phone call is so important because right here, this is a complete tonal change. So I love how the music and everything kind of kicks out. The phone rings to kind of represent that break. And now all of a sudden, the tone shifts because he gets the news that his father has passed away. So instead of like a lot of these like higher piano notes and like progression in that way, all of a sudden things get darker, more anxiety filled and dramatic.
6 getting pissed off, abusing his product.
And this little da-da-da-da-da-da-da. See how things come back around full circle? Remember at the beginning of this when he was playing that little melody and piano loop right there? Now it comes all the way back around. Very dope.
I'm sorry, he's gone. 36, getting pissed off, abusing his product. 37, eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment.
Eyes glazed, disposition, demonic. Love the D words right there, but just the way that that's said. Very poetic, man. Nice lyric writing.
Eyes glazed, disposition demonic. 38, with a prostitute, a moment of passion. Heating up a silver spoon and then chasing the dragon. 39, getting reckless and hungry for power. Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move.
I mean, look again how his mannerisms have changed. All of a sudden, remember, he spent so long trying to adjust that tie to get it right, to look proper. When he's posing for pictures, his arm behind his back, his posture's like this. Now it's totally changed. Now his shoulders are kind of sagging. He's staggering because he's drunk. Everything's been loosened. Things have been unbuttoned now to just represent him falling apart. Jimmy is going downhill. He's chasing the dragon, right? He's seeking out the drugs. All of a sudden, everything that he was dealing, he falls into the product. Rule number 1 of dealers, do not do the product that you deal.
For power, Daddy's words are still driving him to kill and devour. Makes a move against the cartel, but the strategy's flawed. They retaliate and leave him in a hospital ward. A bullet buried in his vertebra and one in his leg. The doctor sighs and says, I don't think you'll be walking again. Fuck.
Wow. Tantalizing, man, and haunting, like when that bottle just drops and you hear it roll across the floor. But again, what I love about the pacing of this is it always keeps you on the edge of your seat, because as things start to progress and things start to build, they never build for too long, right? He moves the story along and then you have a stop. And then things kind of kick out for a second. Whether he gets close to the camera and makes a statement, the phone rings, you just have like these different moments that just stop the progression all of a sudden. And it just kind of changes the tone and things shift yet again. And then we start to progress and we start to build. Then you have another stop and things kind of shift once more. And he always keeps you on the edge of your seat throughout this. I mean, you know, this is going to be a 9-minute video. So the fact that you're just so captivated by it throughout, because you never know where it's going to turn. I think it's got a great sense of pacing throughout this. Still see some of the haze and the smoke from the cartel grenades running past before. Wow. Again, look at this shot, right? Got the light coming down overhead. You got the string quartet behind him, the depth to them as he's positioned exactly in the middle.
Tell you a story.
It's just a beautiful shot right there. That could have been the thumbnail.
About a boy named Jimmy. He was 40 and he cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. 41 he wasn't walking, 42 not walking quickly, 43 never running round the pavements of his city.
I think this is genius how the character arc has now come full circle, right? Karma has come back around. He cursed the words, mine, mine, gimme. Remember those original words? Because he lived his life by that motto. Just being selfish and always driven by money and power and just self-serving interests. Well, now he's cursing that. And now he's not walking quickly. Remember before he was walking too quickly and then he was running through the streets of his city. Now, because of the cartel injury and damage that he sustained, he can't run through the streets of his city. So Ren is telling you almost a new story about Jimmy. It's all come around.
Walking quickly, 43, never running round the pavements of his city. 44, inside a palace with a mountain of gold.
Wow, this is beautiful.
But those riches turn to rubble when perspective evolves. Weighing heavy on his conscience is the value of gold. Lamborghini for a life, trading money for souls. Jimmy followed the code inside the land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his...
Isn't that ironic when he says that? In the land of the free. Get it? Because we're tying in with the money game. So it's ironic that we call this the land of the free when so much of our society and system is driven by money.
The land of the free. Put your hand inside the cookie jar, take more than you need. And his example is exaggerated versions of me. And it's a version of him. And it's a version of she. And it's a version of you. There's no escaping the blame. The way we live is parasitic. Fuck the money and fame. Call the music. This isn't entertainment.
Wow.
This is real life.
Right there, the just direct breaking of the fourth wall when he grabs the camera. Like all of a sudden, he has broken past the storytelling and he sets it up right there. This isn't entertainment. You know, this is going beyond me just merely telling a story and trying to entertain you all. Now, I'm going to break it down for you. Now I'm going to speak a lot more directly, but even just the simple mannerisms of he grabs a camera and notice how he just lingers for a moment, just one sort of tantalizing moment, like almost like he's coming to a decision in his head as he looks at the camera and he takes a step back and then he kind of gathers himself and gets himself ready. Again, I think there's just such a great sense of composure from Ren and no movement really does go wasted. But for me, also speaking on the lines, because I don't want to miss some of the great lyricism here. It's an exaggerated version of me, of you, of we, right? Because like I talked about at the beginning, so many people not revealing their faces because we can put ourselves into this money game because we're all a part of it in one way or another. And Ren is telling a story that, yes, it's exaggerated. It's for entertainment. But what he's saying is that there's more to it than that. And now he's going to break it down.
This isn't entertainment. This is real life. The way we live is lunacy, community, it declines. Hyperpolarized, always fighting, then we divide. Truth is less important than the money that we design. Money's an invention. Politics from our invention. They all come from people's ideas. Did I mention? Border's an invention. Law and order fuel the tension. It leads to people killing each other. My solution.
Wow. Money's an invention. Politics are a human invention as well and a societal invention. Borders, these imaginary lines that divide us, that we go to war over, that we kill each other for. Think about the roots of that. It's not like you look down, a satellite looks down on planet Earth and sees all these lines. Humans are the ones who have drawn these lines in the sand. And Ren and I have talked about it in interviews, the hyperpolarization of our world, how we become more and more divided, and so many issues create controversy and conflict, and we continue to be divided. But through the root of all that, there are a lot of companies and a lot of people who profiteer off of war, who profiteer off of conflict, who are earning through our division the means to an end, money. They're focused on the end, and they don't care about the means to get there. The money's just helping them along the way.
It leads to people killing each other. My solution?
I think it's important he takes so much time to fold this and get it right too, because we've had Jimmy who's lost it, right? Jimmy's gone off the rails, like shirts untucked, he's loose, he's losing it, and this is Ren kind of bringing back some organization to the chaos. And I think before he gives us his solution and proposals, and he's trying to help and organize his head, he has to take a moment to organize his clothes. Wow, I just hear the weight of that gun as it hits.
Everything is subject to change. We could build utopias if individuals were taught to use their brains. But if we teach kids in schools to always be sheep and put themselves before the herd if there's more money for me, then there's no future I see where the humans survive with parasites inside the...
I mean, even something simple as making sure, right, it's 45 clip and just sliding that in, because I know there were issues getting this gun in the UK, getting the prop gun and setting it up, and we want to make sure the weight was right, the bullets were right, everything was proper going into this. You know, the devil is in the details.
Then there's no future I see where the humans survive with parasites inside a petri dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface and consume till it dies.
Parasites inside a petri dish. Mold will grow. We're consuming ourselves, right? What we're doing is, if you look at it, and I like how Ren speaks to the youth and why he takes us on the story of someone as he grows up. Because to me, Ren is commenting on nurture. There's nothing more important in our society today, in our world, than parenting, than how children are nurtured and what they're taught. And what Ren's saying here is, if you set up these conditions in this environment for mold to thrive, for us to feed off of each other because it's okay, because we want to celebrate fame and wealth, and that's all people look at is how rich you are, and that's how you're valued. What kind of conditions of conflict and competition does that create? You know, there's healthy competition, but then there's unhealthy competition where people will pursue money by any means necessary, and we're all caught up in this systematic crisis. Instead of nurturing a sense of community, instead of living off of simple values of trying to help each other and working together, we create such an individualist, divided society by borders, by money, by conflict, by capitalism. That just leads to a situation like this. But what I love is that if you're going to point out problems in our society, if you're going to point out differences, then try to encourage solutions. Take the time to also think through what you would do to help fix it and change it. And I love how Ren is trying to give us some advice right here. Camera's going to die. I'll be right back. Let's keep it rolling.
Dish with cannibal minds. Mold will grow upon the surface and consume till it dies. And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise.
Even something simple as the way he's waving around, like that pinky's kind of out. I just love the look of that. And then when he finally finishes this statement, then he fully grips it and points it right at us.
And our fate could be the same without this story to the wise.
Wow.
45. Jimmy comes home out of the rain, soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking again. He is everything he wants. He is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate.
fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool. Notice how that's said ironically, right? Because he's got a fortune, but in this case, it's pretty unfortunate what's happened to him. Clever little wordplay, but the reason you got this expression from me is because I didn't actually get to see this, right? I was gone by the time they got here. And I saw the setup the day before, how much went into just rigging this overhead and trying to get the spray right so it doesn't spray the string quartet behind him, but also doesn't spray the camera. It's just got to hit Ren. But the thing is, that's a custom suit. That's the only suit that he has, right? So once you cross this boundary here and this threshold, and this is a live performance, you can't mess up. There's no mistakes. Like, this is a high pressure situation right here. To make sure that you get the shot that you want, the lighting right, nothing can go wrong right here. And this is all just fluidly working. Wow, this looks so dope, man. Like, even when I talked to him about this and we walked through it, you could just see the light and the fire in his eyes when he explained what was going to happen when they got to this moment here.
Soaking wet upon a wheelchair, drinking the game. He is everything he wants, he is fortune and fame. He's a fortunate fool with an unfortunate fate. With a 45 caliber aimed at his brain. 45 a fitting number cause his age is the same. Here's the words of his father, it's such a damn shame. Then he presses on the trigger of a money game.
Wow. Wow. Presses on the trigger of a money game. Notice the reference to Money Game and how everything comes back around to the original Money Game. I love how Jimmy's story comes back around. By the time he reaches 45, the clever wordplay, all for the Colt 4-5 that he puts to his head. But even something simple as Ren broke the fourth wall. He's talking to us, right? Let this be a lesson. There's a moral to this story. Heed my words. Don't just take this as entertainment. I think that's very important. So he gives us that lesson, but then as soon as he sits back down into the wheelchair, he reassumes the role of Jimmy. That's why he sits in the wheelchair. And that's why he gets out of the wheelchair and can walk again, because he's no longer Jimmy for that bit. But once he sits back down, he reassumes the role of Jimmy. And everything came around tragically for Jimmy in the end. It's like a Greek tragedy, right? But there is a moral to the story at the end. And this is Ren's culmination of the Money Game series, and just talking about money and how it runs our world. And he's asking questions, and he wants you to think, is there a better way for us to approach how we value money in society and what we truly value within individuals within our society? Because I think Ren has always encouraged cooperation, community. You see it in the riddles and the games that he's done leading up to Money Game. Right? Trying to promote people working together, trying to look for things that can unite us instead of all these forces in our world that want us to divide us, instead of all of the people who profiteer off of that division and off of that conflict. We are so much stronger together and united than we are divided. Ren, you were Knoxville certified. Hope you guys liked today's video. Listen, if for some reason you have made it to the end of this, thank you so much. Do not forget, tomorrow, right here on this channel, I will have an exclusive interview with Sam, one of the keys behind this whole filming, one of the masterminds to Money Game, alongside Ren. I can't wait to get him on board. Also, live stream on Saturday. Ren will be a part of that live stream. We'll be celebrating his release of Sick Boy album. We'll be talking about this too. A lot coming on this channel. I love you guys. Stay safe, stay positive. It's one only Knox Hill. You know, I'll catch you again.
I will wash the pots, I wipe the tops and spots and wait, stop. Where you going with this waffle plot? You helped an old ass hag, had a carpet washed? Oh dear, boo-hoo, what an awful job. But wait a minute, let me finish and we'll call the cops. Call the cops? No, the ops. Was she having a heart attack? No, sit back, relax, I'll recall the facts. Please, retell my story, that is all I ask. My neighbor once had a tea kettle. A tea kettle.